Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Zhiyun. This is the X200 RGB. This is the full combo kit. It'll cost this much at the time of the recording of the video, and I did buy this with my own money, so these are going to be my own brutal and honest opinions as always. So let's take a look at what comes inside the box. So inside we're going to get this monopod looking thing with that telescopes. We're going to get a mount here. So in this box, we are going to get a ballast, which clamps onto your light stand, and we are going to get the connecting cable here. And finally, inside the main box here, we are going to get the light itself. Inside, you're going to get the Fresnel. You're going to get the light, what looks like the fan power there. You're going to get the actual light itself, which is a heavy, beefy boy. And you are going to get the power plug cord. Okay, so let's look at build quality here. Now, first off, the case is very nice. It looks like you do have a strap on the front here, and that strap is for this bizarre doohickey. I guess you can just sort of strap that to the front of your case so that can go with you. So that is very cool that they do give you a place to kind of put everything. Then when you open the case, you do get some nice mesh pockets, your standard mesh pockets at the top, but it does have seems to have a lot of extra room here. Let's go ahead and we'll throw in the power cord, and let's go ahead and put in the foam. Now it is this cheap foam. I'm not a huge fan of that foam, but there you go, there you have it. There is a place for the mount. There is a place for this ballast here. Actually, a place for this, the fan here. And there is a place for what looks for the light here. There is not much more space in here. I guess if you lift this up, there is room for, say to shove this ballast in here. Let's go ahead and put that there. And let's go ahead and put the wire there and all the extra cabling there. And then you can kind of put that in there. Doesn't really work. Not really a lot of room in this case for the extra accoutrement. I'll actually do it this way where I will just slide that there. Now, see, there's not a whole lot of space for anything extra, so that is kind of a downside. There really is no place for this. You're going to have to carry this separately. Okay, so let's take a look at the light, and it is a heavy, beefy boy. Let's go ahead and weigh it. It comes in about 1 pound 14 ounces. So that is fairly heavy for a light of this size. And let's take a look at the front. Now, first off, you have on the side here your quick release, and that does rock it off, but it does have an integrated V-mount. Thank you, Zhiyun. That is fantastic. Now on the front, you've got your release. You've got an open Bowens mount, and it does feel pretty solid, like it's a very, very hard plastic. You do have this very cheap silicone cap that will most likely pop off all the time. And then you have on the side this quick release lever. I don't know if it does feel pretty robust, but it does, I'm wondering if it's gonna get bumped and bent and broken. But nonetheless, it is there. Now swinging around to the back, you have a ginormous fan. You have these very cheap clicky buttons, and this one feels very cheap. And this one feels very cheap as well, and you get a screen. Flipping to the bottom, you do get a 1/4 and it does look like it has RE pins, and you get a USB Type-C for powering. Flipping to the top, you just have your power button, and that is it. Now, let's look at the AC adapter. The AC adapter plugs right into the V-mount, which is interesting, and you do get yet another fan here and the AC plug. So you're going to have 2 fans running on this thing. Keep that in mind. We'll test it later. Next, we have this very plasticky ballast here. You do get some releases. It has plates, and as you can see, this thing is massively spring-loaded. Pew, pew. So there you go. And that actually covers and protects the V-mount connections, which is kind of cool that they have covers on them. I'll probably never use these covers, but there you go. There you have it. They are there nonetheless. And you do have a 100-watt C-to-C, so you can actually plug it right into the C port on the light and not use V-mount batteries, or use the V-mount batteries and plug it into the C port and power it that way, or you can connect it with the included cable here. And of course, there is a power button on the ballast as well, and it does have this very interesting lock here where it just locks around the light stand, and you adjust it by turning the dial. There is this weird little thing in the center there that comes in and out to kind of clamp it. So all in all, a very strange, odd build. There you go. There you have it. And you have a ginormous Fresnel here, which is very interesting. So there you go. There you have it. Now let's take a look at the metal mount. The mount, it is all metal. It is beautiful construction. Again, it looks like it feels like there are rosettes in there, but it also feels, there are rosettes in there, but there's also, it's also a very small rosette. Yep, again, it is a rosette system. I hate that. Please stop doing that. I will most likely use my rubber washer method so I can point this where I need it. While it is it does have quite a large amount of teeth, again, I'm not going to be able to point this where I need to. And again, it does have the spin dial to kind of attach it, which is fantastic here. And we'll go ahead and we'll do that. And this does actually have an RE pin, which is fantastic. Love to see that. Just not crazy about the fact that this is not a disc system. And we'll go ahead and throw that up and in. The knobs feel pretty good here. Okay, so now let's take a look at this fan thing here. We're gonna go ahead and slap that in. And I'm gonna go ahead and plug this into some power. Okay, so with the setup here, we are going to plug this sucker in. And we just plug in the AC in the back. And we're gonna go ahead and hit the power button on top. And hopefully this isn't going to blind you. Of course, we get a whole bunch of, let's take a look at the menu system here. And there we go. There is the menu system there. Now this thing does go from 10,000 Kelvin all the way down to 2,500 Kelvin. And of course, there are quick steps here, which are fantastic. So we'll turn this all the way down. There's 25, 32, 43, 55, and 65. And then it's 700, 800, and 900, and 10,000. And then it goes back to 25. So we'll go to 3,900 Kelvin. And again, if you press in this button, that changes your mode. You've got your standard HSI. You've got controls of your reds, your greens, your blues. You've got special effects, explosions. You got fire, paparazzi, bad bulb, TV, lightning, strobe, welding, CCT pulse, your loop, your hue pulse, disco, fireworks, police car. So there we go. Let's check out the fire here. And the fire is a bit flickery, so not great. So let's go ahead and press that in, and it goes back to our CCT. Now, if we press this in, we can navigate here. Now, if we turn this orange dial here, we can navigate. So we do have our percentage, and this is 100%. And it goes all the way down to about, let's go down to 1% here, which is very, 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 very light, which is very cool. Going back to about 10%. And then if we turn the dial again, we do have controls of our plus minus green magenta. So it has all the way up to 10 and then down to minus 10. So very cool. You do get that level of adjustment, which is fantastic. And this is telling you that it is plugged in. So there you go. There you have it. Okay, so now let's take a look at this with a V-mount battery. Now my 210 is charging. We will charge it with a 210 watt battery, but we have this Core 99 here, and we're gonna slide that in, and let's go ahead and power this up. And this is going to tell you that we have to rotate to power on. So we had to rotate the lower dial to turn this on. And let's see what percentage we can get this up to. And it looks like with a V-mount battery, with a 99 watt V-mount battery, we are only going to get 75% out of this. So there you go. That is a limitation. When you're using a straight V-mount battery, you're only going to get 75%, which is fine. You're probably not going to use more than 75% when you're on a battery if you're using this as a key. So let's go ahead and pop this off, and let's go ahead and hook up the plate here. And this is oddly got a lot of different ways to power it. I'm not sure that you need all these ways. Let's go ahead and pop off the doors here. We'll put them off to the side here. And let's go ahead and add some batteries. Now, setting this up, we're going to go ahead and lock these batteries in. And they do not lock in very well. That is a negative with this thing. These are not, my Moment batteries are not locking in properly. You really have to kind of jam these in. So this is not the greatest made thing in the world. So let's go ahead and plug this in. And we do have to throw the power switch on this thing and then throw the power switch here. And then we have to turn the dial mode all the way 1 rotation in order to get it to go on. And let's go to 3900 Kelvin and let's go full power. And with 2 V-mount batteries, we can definitely get 100% power on here. And it shows that it is hooked up to the V-mount power system here. So there you go. There you have it. Okay, so now let's take a look at powering this with via USB-C. So we're going to disconnect this. And the cool thing about this is there is a pull lock here. It doesn't really lock very well. You have to take this and just pull up on this and it pops off. And that is that. Let's go ahead and we'll pop this off here and we'll put the wire away here. And let's try C to C and see what kind of power that it has here. So we're going C to C and we're into the C to C port here. And let's go ahead and hit the power button again. And let's go down to how much power we can get out of this. And it looks like when you are on C to C power, you are only going to get 50%. So I would rather not use the USB Type-C unless you are in a bind. It does not give you a whole lot of power. Okay, so let's take a look at the Fresnel. And it is a Bowens mount Fresnel, so we can click that into place, which is very, very nice. And let's go ahead. I'm just going to slap a V-mount battery on here, which is very, very, very difficult to do. This mount isn't straight. No. Yeah. So that's a huge negative. And let's go ahead and hold the power button down and I'll spin the dial. And then the Fresnel will go on. And there we go. That is the Fresnel. Definitely does make the light a lot brighter. So let's go to the test wall and see how this thing performs. So let's take a look at the light without the Fresnel. This is plugged in and we're going to go ahead and loosen this up. And the beam looks fairly even. So there you go. That looks pretty good as far as beam light goes. There we go. And this is with the Fresnel on. And I did notice that there is a little bit of a color shift here. But let's just take a look at beam angle. There's a little bit of spillover, but it's not bad. Looks like a fairly even and very wide beam. Okay, so let's talk pros and cons, starting off with the cons. And when you use the AC, this thing is loud, loud, loud. It is a nice, soft, gentle breeze, but you can hear it from 3 meters away. So if I'm doing anything sound critical, I would probably not use this. Yes, you can probably get rid of it in post, but you're going to have to take that step. Now let's talk about battery options. With a normal V-mount battery, you're getting about 75%. With this, you're getting full power. And then with the weird ballast here, with the USB Type-C, you're getting about 50% power when just being used off the C port. If you have 2 batteries, you are getting full power. So there you go, there you have it. I would much rather use 2 batteries and get full power than have to deal with an extra fan. So there you go, there you have it. Also, the other problem is when you slap in these batteries, they are not the easiest to slap in. And as you can see, the release knobs are at a very strange, this one's a little bit lower than this one. So it is not the best user experience getting these in. In fact, it's kind of difficult to get these in and down. You really have to give it some force. And this lock is okay. It did fit at the top rung of my C-stand, but really it's just for light stands. It's pretty cheap. Not sure how long it's going to last. It's got this little adjustment thing here, which is okay. And one thing to remind you is that when you are powering this, make sure you turn this thing off down here, because if you don't, you are going to drain your batteries. And that is a huge negative. I really wish that this thing just plugged in, and when you turn this on, it just set power straight up. Now, the good thing is when you turn this off, it will turn off the light itself. But then when you turn it back on, you have to climb up and turn the light on as well. So I really wish that it either was just controlled by the light or this controlled the light when connected. So that is a huge negative right there. And also this thing is very, very, very cheap plastic. Do not drop it. Not quality made at all. Let's talk about the effects. The effects are fine. The fire is extremely flickery, so I would not use it for a fire effect. And let's talk about light quality. And like all bicolor and RGB lights, when you start to dim the light, you are going to lose quality. Now, while this does have plus minus green magenta shift, it is very difficult. I found it difficult at 3900 Kelvin and at a couple other Kelvins to pinpoint it exactly once I got down to 50%. So just keep that in mind. You are going to have to kind of go between your camera and this light and make adjustments in order if you're looking to get this thing smack on color accurate. But I think most people will just want to turn this to 56 or 5500 Kelvin and just shoot it into some kind of bounce or book light and go with that, which is fine. If color accuracy is not your game, then no worries there. I will say that these plates are very weird and very cheap and feel like they could crack at any moment. So just be careful when moving around these plates. Okay, one of the major negatives is that while they do include a front strap for this pole, there is no way to put this in anywhere. They just did not make any room in the case for something like this, which is very, very sad. I mean, I tried to put it down here, but it just will not fit in. So that is a huge, huge, huge downside to this case. I would just basically leave this piece out and just throw things in, and then you're just going to have to throw your lens in awfully like that. And that is how it is going to have to fit in the case. You're going to have to take this piece out. And finally, this is one of the worst mounts I've ever seen. Yes, it's made of metal, it feels solid, but the minute you try to add it to a light stand, the whole thing tilts like that. So you can see it's not straight up and down. Just due to placement and the way this knob works, it is not good. And when I was taking the light off, this little pin comes out and can be lost. So not great. And finally, again, it is a rosette system. It has teeth, so it's going to be very difficult to point it where you want it. I would 150% replace this mount. It is not good. Yes, it's made of all metal. Bonus points for that. But it is just, there's just too much wrong with it. And I do too much wrong with it. So I would definitely skip this and get something else. And one last negative is this thing is heavy, heavier than most of their other lights. So that is just something to note. I'd much rather carry around the 300 with the 2 lighter boxes than have something that is this heavy. Once you put a battery on and once you put the Fresnel on, it is quite hefty. So from the negatives to the positives, this thing is a very, very, very small, compact light, which just seems to work pretty well. I would definitely recommend using it in this configuration with a V-mount battery, and I would just skip everything else unless you need 100% power. Then yes, you can use the ballast, even though it has a major flaw with the power button. But all in all, the light itself, not bad. Everything feels okay made. Some of the plastic parts feel a bit cheap. The light quality is fairly good. It does have 10 and -10 adjustment of plus minus green. So yes, you can sort of tweak it. Again, you might need to tweak it in the camera depending on your brightness level. But this thing does deliver 10,000 Kelvin to 23,000 Kelvin. It does have a nice HSI mode. The special effects are okay. And it is very small and compact. And it is a lot of power. And the Fresnel is very nice. I love the fact that they have included a Bowens mount. So if you want to throw this thing into a softbox, you absolutely can. One of the best things about this is the integrated V mount. I would love to see more of this in lights. And that is because nowadays people are no longer using Sony NPFs to power their lights. They're just getting too powerful and the batteries don't last long enough. I love the fact that I can just take my core battery, slap it in, and I can go. Yes, it's only 75% power, but if I'm doing a key light, I'm probably not going more than 70%. Even if I'm bouncing light to create a book light, I'm probably not going to a full 100% on a 200 watt light. So there you go. There you have it. Very, very, very interesting product. One thing I will caution you is you might need gloves. This does get quite hot, even though there's plastic around it. Just be very careful. But I will say that the Bowens mount, even though it's an open Bowens mount, it feels rock solid. It's not, I don't think it's going to break. You'd really have to drop this hard. And in that case, what are you doing with your equipment, honestly? So there you go. There you have it. It does come with this thing. Everything does fit in the case. The case, again, is very, very nice. This thing does take a bit to cool down, and that is a safety feature, so that is fine. And the Fresnel works very well as well to give you that extra blast of light. So there you go. There you have it. A very, very, very interesting light by Zhiyun, and I am very interested to see what the competition is going to come out with, having seen this. Editor Steven here with a little bit of side note. I will most likely not be keeping this. There's just way too much to deal with when all I need is this. I would highly recommend just buying the basic kit with the Fresnel and just getting a battery and using this at 75%. All this stuff is just like way too much and not very good. So yeah, save yourself a little bit of money. Get it in this configuration only, just the basic model. Okay, now back to the video. So that's it. Those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.